Welcome to Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp.
And I'm Melissa Delp.
Today we're looking at Ticket to Ride France and Old West. Ticket to Ride France and Old West is the 6th map collection for expansions for the Ticket to Ride series. It's published by Days of Wonder. Now you have to have either the Ticket to Ride USA or Ticket to Ride Europe in order to play.
Now both of these maps introduce new mechanics to the game, and the Old West version actually has new trains to support a 6th player.
Let's look inside the box. There's a double-sided board and rulebooks for each map. Don't be concerned about the thickness. The rules are only a page or two. The rest are translations. There are ticket cards for each map, track pieces for France, and several components for Old West. City markers, Alvin the Alien marker, white trains, and marker for the 6th player.
First, we're going to take a look at France. Now, the basic mechanics are pretty much the same. On your turn, you can pick up train cars, you can lay trains from one city to another, or you can draw new destination tickets. But if you look at the board, you'll notice that most of the tracks are missing. They haven't been built yet. You can't lay trains where there isn't track.
When you take train cards, before you end your turn, you have to lay one section of track. You can choose any available color and length. The track will stay on the board until someone lays trains on it. Then it's removed and added back into the supply.
The new mechanics add some interesting dynamics to the game. In one sense, you can kind of telegraph to the other players about where you're trying to go because you have to put those tracks down, and they might jump in and actually lay trains on those tracks that you put down.
But you don't have to lay tracks on your route.
Right. You can lay tracks anywhere, somewhere where you're not trying to go, or even where you think it might hurt another player. There's even some spots where if you lay a track, it blocks other tracks.
Yeah, because it sort of like crisscrosses each other.
And then the tracks you lay down, there are a limited number of each color, especially in the higher tracks, the 4s and 5s, so you can really be strategic about which colors you choose to lay down.
Now, one thing to be aware of is that the turns may take a little bit longer, because not only are you thinking what colored cards do I need to pick in order to lay the routes, but I also have to pick what color tracks to lay and how long they are on the board. So I'm picking cards and laying tracks, so just a little bit longer.
Right, yeah, not a whole lot longer. It's not going to add hours to your game or anything. But now we want to take a look at the Old West.
Old West introduces city markers. They sort of look like depots. At the beginning of the game, in reverse turn order, each player places one city marker on one city. You have to lay your first set of trains from your starting city.
Throughout the game, unlike other versions of Ticket to Ride, you have to lay your trains so they connect back to that starting city marker. Basically, you can't have any gaps in your railroad network. No laying trains on one side of the map and then on the other and trying to connect them later.
You can add more city markers throughout the game to an empty city. You just have to play 2 extra cards of the same color when you claim a route. Then you can put your marker in either connecting city. This is important because anytime another player claims a track to a city you control, you get the points instead of that player. If both cities on either side of the track have city markers, then both players get the points. And if the same player owns both, they get double the points.
Using those city markers is a really big deal. Because if I control a city on a really long track, maybe an 18-point, I could steal some serious points from other players. Or maybe just discourage them from laying in that area.
Now, this side of the map lets you play up to 6 players, and the box even gives you that extra set of white trains, so that's pretty cool. I think the only other map that lets you play more than 5 players is the Asian map, and that's just teams.
The Old West map, the starting missions are really going to be important in this version because you always have to lay off of existing trains. You have to really think about how are you going to connect them. So you might get some missions that work really well together, they're kind of clustered, or they might be all over the place.
There's also a rule variant included. You can start the game with Alvin the Alien in Roswell. If you play train cars into Roswell, then you get 10 points, but have to move Alvin to a city you control. When another player lays trains into the city where Alvin is, they get 10 points and move Alvin again. This continues throughout the game. Whoever owns Alvin at the end of the game gets an additional 10 points.
I found the Old West map to be pretty challenging and a little frustrating at times because you can't just go lay tracks somewhere else while you're waiting for that one blue card that you need to lay the next section.
I agree. I personally like the France map a lot better, and I would even encourage you to purchase this map even if you never play the Old West side.
Yeah, we really enjoy Ticket to Ride Europe, and the Pennsylvania version has been one of our favorites, the one with the stocks. And I would say that France is on par with those about the complexity. There are a few added mechanics, but if you already know how to play Ticket to Ride, it's very easy to pick up. Old West, it's not complicated, I would say,
No.
but it does feel very different.
So if you like Ticket to Ride, looking for a new expansion, something with a little French twist, then check out this Ticket to Ride France and Old West expansion. Oh, well, that's that fast. Sorry. Just start again. Just keep going. Just keep going. That's fine. You need to have both the Ticket to Ride. You have to have both. You have to have either. So that's really cool. And there's one more thing I wanted to say because of the 5-player section that I forgot.
Teams.
Teams.